Hello there, my name is Alex and welcome to my channel. In this tutorial video, we are going to work on a project using data from the COVID-19 pandemic. The dashboard will show different COVID-19 metrics across the globe. Let's get started. In this project, we are going to create a dashboard using data generated from the COVID-19 global pandemic. Let's get into the details of this project. The first incidence of coronavirus was discovered in 2019. It is a disease caused by severe acute respiratory syndrome. Coronavirus is commonly referred to as COVID-19, which is the name of the illness caused by the virus. Between 2019 and 2022, COVID-19 has led to over 500 million cases and over 6 million deaths. We are going to create a dashboard that shows the global number of confirmed COVID-19 cases, the global number of deaths from COVID-19. We also want to see the global number of recovered cases from COVID-19. We will also show the regional summary of COVID-19 cases, as well as the country summary of COVID-19 cases. Let's go ahead and connect to the data source. I'll click on Microsoft Excel, and I'll select the COVID-19 data source. Because this is a large data set, it may take some time for Tableau to load the data. I'll collapse this pane, and let's quickly go through the fields we have from this data source. We have a total of 9 fields and 205,951 rows. Observation date is the date each row of record was collected. We have province, which is a location, province or state. We have the country, last date and time the record was updated. We have the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases, the number of deaths, number of people who recovered from the virus, and continent. Notice that Tableau is not picking observation date and last update as a date data type. At the moment, it's picking it up as string. So we can change the data type from string to date. I'm going to click on the drop down, change data type, and we select date. And I'll do the same thing for last update field. And we can also make Tableau recognize continent as a geographical location. Now we can proceed to the worksheet area. The first worksheet we are creating is a map. The map will show all the countries from our data source. To do that, I will double-click on country/region. Tableau uses longitude and latitude coordinates of each country to identify the central point of each country on a global map. And this is called a symbol map. Each symbol represents the central position of each country. However, I'd like to change this to a field map. To do that, I'll click on the Max card and I'll select Map. To show the names of each country, I will drag country/region to label. Let's rename our sheet Map. Notice on the bottom left corner of our field map, we have 8 unknown. This means Tableau is unable to identify 8 locations from our data source. And even if we move our mouse and hover around that notification, we see that it tells us that there are 8 values that have unknown geographical location. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. Click on Edit Location. And here we have the list of the countries that Tableau is not able to recognize. So let's see if we can help Tableau recognize some of these locations. So we know mainland China will be China. So I'm going to click on Unrecognize. And when I type China, I can select China from the drop down. And Northern Ireland, and we can just change that to Ireland. And Occupied Palestine Territory, we can change that to Palestine Territories. And we still have a few that we're not quite sure of. So Diamond Princess, this is a cruise line, so we can actually just leave that. I believe this is a cruise line as well. Others would probably, and we can look at the actual data later on. For St. Martin's, we can change that, but you know what? We're just going to leave those, but because I believe we only have very few records for those. So let's just stick to the ones we've changed for now, and I'll click OK. And we can hide, so if I right click, we can hide the indicator. Next, we are going to create a view showing the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases for each country. Let's create a new sheet. I'll drag country/region to rows, and let's drag confirmed to columns. I'll move my mouse towards the field name, and I'm going to sort this view. And let's go ahead and drag confirmed to label. That way it shows us the actual numbers. Also, I will drag confirmed to color to show a color gradient. Before we continue, I would like to mention an important information regarding the COVID number results returned in the views. The resulting numbers shown in the views are overestimated, and that is due to how the data is captured in the data source and how we choose to analyze the data. In other words, the total number of confirmed cases for US showing over 2 billion or the UK showing over 200 million is most likely overestimated. I'll show you what I mean. Let's look for a country with a slightly lower confirmed number of cases. I will click on Australia and let's view the data. The summary shows we have a total of 5.6 million confirmed COVID-19 cases. To get the value of 5.6 million, Tableau added each record, so each row or each record from confirmed field, Tableau added each row to get that total value of 5.6 million. However, this is a problem because we may be overestimating. When we look at, for example, the observation date for Victoria on the 19th of December 2020, it showed that we had a total of 20,356 confirmed cases for that date. When we look at the 20th of December, it showed that we had 20,357. Well, what we don't know is if this value is accumulated value. So what that really means is that the 20,356 we had from the 20th, perhaps we only had just one more confirmed case that led to 20,357. In other words, between the 19th or from the 19th to the 20th of December 2020, only one person had a confirmed case of COVID-19. So we really should be adding just one to that value. But what Tableau is doing is to sum every record, and this is going to lead to an overestimation. So perhaps a better way would be if the data is captured in a way that we can have a point in time. So say, for example, on the 20th or on the 30th of December, what's the total number of COVID-19 cases we had for that date? But with the way we are aggregating, or the way Tableau is aggregating, it's not cumulative, which means we are most likely overestimated. So we are not necessarily going to focus on the accuracy of the report, but more so on how to create such reports. I'm going to go ahead and rename this sheet. Just double click to rename the sheet. And let's give this sheet a name. Next, we're going to create a view that shows the number of deaths by countries. I'll create a new sheet and let's drag country and region to rows. And this time we want to drag that to columns. And we're going to sort our view, and we can drag that to label, and we can drag it to color as well to give us a color gradient. We can rename our sheet, and we'll give the sheet a name as well. Next, we will create a view that shows the total number of people who have recovered from COVID-19. For this, we will drag country and region to rows, recovered to columns, and as usual, we sort our view, we drag recover to label, we drag it to color as well. I'll give this sheet a name as well. Let's go ahead and open a new worksheet. For this view, we will create a view that shows a summary of COVID-19 status. This will be a dynamic view such that we can select the summary for individual continent or all continents. I'm going to drag confirmed and drop in text. We can just double click on deaths and also double click on recovered. Next, I will drag measure names to columns, and I'm going to change our view to entire view. I'll also like to see the names of the measures below the values. So I'm going to press down Ctrl on my keyboard and drag measure names to text. The next step is to format the measure names and the measure values. So I'm going to click on text and click on the ellipses. And what I'd like to do is increase the size of the measure values. So I'm going to make this 16, and we might have to still change this later on. I'm going to bold on this, apply, and we can increase this to 12. So increase the measure names, we'll make that 12. We can make it bold as well. Apply. Next, we'll click on the alignment, and we want to make it center, so middle and center. Next, I'm going to right click on the header and uncheck show header because we don't need to see the header. And we can give a name to this sheet. And this will be a temporary name. We will still need to make some adjustments. So this is somewhat a placeholder. And we can make this 16 and bold. Apply and OK. And we can give a name to the sheet. One more change I would like to make to this view is the color of the worksheet. So I'm going to click on Format, and we can select Shading. And what we want to do is under the worksheet, we can just select the color. And I'm just going to select that color. I'm not sure if this is pink, and that's fine for me. And we can go to border lines, and we can remove the row divider. So I'm just going to select none. So that's fine. The last worksheet we are creating is a footer which will show the data source and date when the report is produced or refreshed. I will start by creating a blank calculated field, and I will explain shortly why we are creating a blank calculated field. So I'm going to right click on the data pane, create calculated field, and we can give a name to the calculated field. I'll just call this data source. And I'm just going to make this a blank calculated field. OK. Now let's rename the sheet. We'll call this data source. I will insert the data source name by clicking Insert, Data Source Name, and we can say as of, and we can insert the date, data updates time. And what this is going to do is anytime the data is updated, the date and time of the update will be displayed on the dashboard or on the worksheet. So let's just, and we can, I'm going to align this to the left. We can make it italic, and let's reduce the size to, let's say 10. And again, we might still have to change all of this, and we click OK. At the top right corner, we see the sheet name we created. However, Tableau does not know which data source name or update time to display. The reason we created a blank calculated field is so that we can use it as a field to get Tableau to display the data source name and date. If we don't have a field in the canvas, Tableau does not know which data source name or update time to display. So let's go ahead and drag data source to text. And now we can see that Tableau is able to show us the name of the data source as well as the date and time. Let's actually edit the data source name. So if we click on data source pane, we can just, I'm just going to remove the name in parentheses, and that is fine. And that should reflect automatically within the sheet. And let's rename the sheet. We have created all the views we need to build our dashboard. Before bringing it all together, let's apply format to some of the views. We currently have grid lines in some of those views, so the first thing I'd like to do is remove the grid lines. To remove the grid lines from the entire workbook, I'll click Format, Workbook, click on the drop-down for lines. Under Automatic, we have the option to turn off the grid lines. I'll also reduce the size of this title. Let's make this 12. We can make it bold. And perhaps we can change the color as well. Apply. OK. I'm going to right click, hide field labels, and we can hide these as well. Uncheck show headers. And let's move on to the next sheet. We do the same thing. We can double click here. We make this 12. Make it bold. We change the color. And OK. We can go ahead and hide the field labels, uncheck show header. Moving on to the next view, we do the same thing, bold, we change the color, and OK. Moving on. For the summary view, I will actually format that from the dashboard. Let's move on to data source, and we can just change the color of this. OK. To create our dashboard, we have the option to open a new dashboard. So click New Dashboard. The first thing we will like to do is change the size of our dashboard area. We can actually we don't need the font layout, so I can click on font layout and delete layout because we don't need that. On the size, I'm going to select the drop down where we see range, fixed size, and under custom, desktop browser. The benefit of naming each sheet as we did earlier is that it makes it easy for us to know what view to drag to the dashboard area. I'll start by dragging map to the dashboard. Next, I will drag summary above the map. I'm going to just reduce the size of the summary. And perhaps we can reduce a little bit more. We don't need to see the title, so I'm just going to right click and hide title. Next, I'm going to drag a vertical container to the dashboard area. And this is just to create a placeholder for where we'll be dragging some of the other views. We can drag cases and drop inside the container. We can also drag dates and drag next to confirmed cases. And let's just adjust the size of this view. So I'm just going to stretch this out a little bit. And I'm going to click on the drop down option here and fit width. And we're going to do the same thing here. Fit width. We can bring in recovered to the view as well. So I'm going to drag that to the right of dates by countries. And let's make some adjustments here as well. I'm going to double click the title. I want this to be centered. And we're going to do the same for the rest. Next, let's drag data source to the dashboard, and we want this to be at the bottom. I'm going to just drag this down just to reduce the size. And what we can do is I'll click on the drop down, fit, and we can select entire view. The next step is to make the summary view dynamic. At the moment, what we have is the summary for all countries or continents. We want to make this dynamic such that our audience can see the summary by each continent and also have the option to view the summary for all continents. For this task, we need to add a filter for continent. Let's go to the summary worksheet. I'm going to right-click on continent, show filter. Now let's go back to our dashboard. I'm going to click on the summary view, click on the drop-down, and we have the option under filter to add a continent filter. I'm going to change this filter. I'm going to make this single value list. Now when we select all, this is going to show all the summary for all the continents. We can select Africa, Asia, and we see that this is dynamic and it shows us the value depending on what we select. Now what I would like to also do is make the title reflect the continent that we select. To do that, I'm going to double click, and here I'm going to say COVID-19 summary for, and I will click insert, and from here we can select continent, and I can also just type continent. What we also want to do is give this a color just to show that this is a dynamic value. So we can just make this blue, and let's change the color of this as well. Perhaps we can make it this color, and we'll change this as well. So when we click apply, we can see it says COVID-19 summary for all continents. So I'm also going to increase the size of this. Apply and OK. Okay. So now when we select Africa, it's going to show COVID-19 summary for Africa, for Asia, Europe, North America. What I also want to do is to make this filter, I would like to apply it to the map as well. I'm going to show you what I mean. I'm going to click on More Option, Apply to Worksheet, click on Selected Worksheet. And what we wanted to do is we want to apply it to the map. So I'm going to check Map and OK. So now when we click North America, it shows the map of North America, and it is dynamic, so the value changes, but also we see that the map changes as well. Oceania, South America, and all. Now one more thing we might need to do, we actually need to do is, so right now it's showing COVID-19 summary for all continents. We want this to be plural, so continent. So we can fix that by creating a calculated field. I'm going to click any of the worksheets, and what we want to do is create a calculated field. I'm going to call this continent/continent. I will create a calculated field with a logic. I will type out the logic, then we go through it together. Let's go through this together. Count D means count distinct, and it is used to count distinct values. What this logic is doing is this. If the distinct count of continent is greater than 1, I want Tableau to print continent. If the count distinct or distinct count of continent is not greater than 1, which means it will be equal to 1 or less than 1, then Tableau will print continent. Now I'll click OK. Let's go to the summary worksheet. We have our created calculated field. I'm going to drag it to detail. The next step will be to replace the fixed value continent with the calculated field we created. So let's double click on the title. I can just delete that, and I'll click on insert. I will select the calculated field, which is showing as aggregate continent/continent. So I'm just going to select that. Let's click apply and OK. Let's go back to our dashboard and let's test to see if this is working. Right now we've selected all, and we can see already that this is working because it's showing us continent. When we select a single continent, it shows continent. So what that logic is doing is, when we select a single or a distinct continent, it's going to give us continent. when our selection is more than one value, which will be all, because when we select all, we are essentially selecting all the continents. It's going to give us continents. We can remove this. We don't need it in the dashboard. I'm going to remove all three. And maybe we can make the size of this summary information a little bit small. So let's go back to summary, and we can go to summary from here as well. So we can click on go to sheet. I will click on text, click on the ellipses, and let's reduce this to, let's make this 14, apply, and let's make this 10. Okay, we can go back to our dashboard, and this looks a bit better. We can adjust the map a little bit. So I'm just going to drag this down a little bit, and I'm going to use the selector to also just drag this a little bit. Below we have the summary information for all the countries within our dataset. We want to make it easier for users if they need to see the summary for specific countries, so we need to add a country filter. And we can do that. We can go to the map worksheet, and we can create a show the filter under country/region. So now we have the filter. Let's go back to our dashboard. And now we just need to bring the filter into the view, and we can select any of those views to use. So I'm gonna click on more option, filters, and we want the country/region. And let's change the way the filter is displayed. And we're going to select the option for multiple value drop list. The next thing we want to do is apply this to specific worksheets. So I'll select, click on selected worksheets. And we want to use this filter for cases as well as dates. So the worksheet. So it's going to affect these three worksheets. So now we can click OK. So now if a user wants to see specific countries, I can just uncheck all. And let's say I want to see Belgium. I can select Belgium. So now I only get the summary for Belgium. And if I want to add Bolivia, we can do that as well. We can add Austria. We can add Samoa. So yeah, this just gives us more flexibility. And we can just click on this to clear the filter, and we're back to the original view. I prefer to have this filter really next to this view that it controls. So what we can do is I'm going to select this filter, click on more option, and what we want to do is make this, rather than being a tiled object, we want to make this a floating object. So we can select floating here, and now I can just drag this and place wherever I want, and this is okay. We can change the name, so we can just type select. We can say select country, and let's make this bold. Perhaps we can make this 12, and let's use the same color. I believe it's this. Okay, maybe not bold. I'm gonna not make it bold, so I think that's fine, and we can just make it center. And let's change this as well to make it intuitive. So we're gonna say, we're just gonna say select continent. We'll change the size, and we can change the color. And of course, you can use whatever color works best for you. I'm probably not the best graphic designer out there, and maybe want to make this consistent and make this green as well. You certainly don't want to have too much colors. I don't really think green is the best. I'm going to undo this, and let's just make this. I'm going to make it center first, and I'm just going to use the same color. But again, you can use whatever color you like. We're pretty much done with our dashboard. Just some quick house cleaning. I'm going to rename this. And we can call this COVID-19 dashboard. And the next thing we want to do is we can hide this individual sheets. We don't really, the users don't need to see the worksheets. So now we have just our dashboard. And of course, if we want to go to any of the individual worksheet, there are multiple options. We can go to the map worksheet from right here. Click on sheet. This takes us to the map. go back to the dashboard. We can also select any of the containers, and when we click on the go to worksheet, that takes us to the worksheet as well. Just one more quick tweak to the view. So right on the summary view, we want this to say number confirmed rather than just confirmed. So number deaths, number of confirmed cases, and number recovered. So let's go to that worksheet and we click on text. And all we need to do is just add number, maybe space, apply, okay, and that should be fine now. Congratulations on completing the COVID-19 dashboard project. I hope you learned a few things in the process. My assumption is you are learning Tableau because you intend using Tableau either personally or professionally. If your goal is to become a Tableau developer, data scientist, data analyst, business analyst, report analyst, or work with data in any capacity, then it is important that you learn Tableau. With only $10, you can have full access to my Tableau course. This course was carefully designed to take you from having little or no knowledge of Tableau to becoming highly proficient, analyzing data and creating visualizations in Tableau. Let's take a look at what is covered in this course. The first section is simply getting you set up and making sure you have all you need to learn Tableau. In section 2, we will spend some time learning about the Tableau environment and some of the important elements in Tableau. In section 3, you will learn how to organize your data and create filters. In section 4, we will spend time creating the commonly used charts in Tableau. Section 5 covers formatting workbooks and worksheets. In section 6, you will learn how to create groups, sets, and parameters. Calculated field is a very important part of Tableau, and we will spend time learning different types of calculations in section 7. In section 8, you will learn how to work with multiple data sources using relationships, joins, unions, and blending. In section 9, you will work on 3 guided projects using all the knowledge you have acquired from the beginning of this course. These projects can be part of your portfolio for job application purposes. You will create a dashboard based on the 6-month marketing campaign promotion. You will also work on a customer incident report project. The third project is the COVID-19 project, which you just completed now. However, you will now have access to the data source used. Besides having access to over 18 data sources in this course, you will also learn how to generate fake data which you can use in future projects. For only $10, you are on your way to becoming an excellent Tableau developer. The link to register can be found in the video description below. I am excited about being on this journey with you and looking forward to seeing your success story. Happy learning!